How can you work with your subconscious? This is a question I recently got asked on my YouTube channel, and I thought it's such a great opportunity to answer this here. And of course, I'm going to upload this video on my YouTube channel for everybody to see. Again, thank you so much for the inspiration. What a great question. Of course, I elaborated in the title, how can you work with your subconscious to get the life you want? Now, a couple of things before we get into it. I think it might be useful to even understand why would somebody even want to work with their subconscious, right? What's the purpose for that? That's number one, right? And then I think most people are aware that we have a conscious and a subconscious mind, right? I think that just goes without saying. But the question really comes in, how can we as human beings tap into the power of the subconscious to help us get the life we want? For example, a lot of people right now are frustrated with unwanted habits or addictions or even self-sabotage or procrastination, or they know what they want. They know why it would be so good for them, whether it's getting into shape or starting that business or getting into a relationship, and they know, or at least they think, that those things will bring them happiness and joy and fulfillment and maybe abundance. And they have the plan, they have the goal, they often even have the steps, but then something along the way happens where it's like they fall off the wagon, or things don't turn out, or maybe fear or doubt creeps in, or they start to get insecure, or they think, and this is the biggest thing that I run up against as a hypnotherapist. A lot of people think they need more willpower or self-discipline. Oh, I need more motivation. How come I can't be more disciplined? How come I keep falling off the wagon? How come I keep getting stuck in a rut? And if that is your frustration, then especially then this video is for you, because once you get your subconscious on board, you will actually experience less and less of these frustrations that I just mentioned. Because guess what? The only reason your subconscious right now may not be working, by the way, it's always working. Okay, it's always on. It is always working. It is always working for you. The tricky part, however, is that, and sorry, don't shoot the messenger. For most people, our subconscious wasn't programmed by us. It was programmed before the age of 7, 8, 9-ish is when so many of these programs that we have as an adult literally started to become sort of a reality, became the program that, so let's just say, I want to give you a very classic example. Let's just say when you were a child, you would hear in some shape or form, you'll never amount to anything, or you're just so bad at math, or, oh, you'll never succeed in life. Well, guess what? That now becomes a program. And then regardless of how successful this person might be, how many A's they have gotten in class, how many people have complimented them, because the program is so deeply ingrained, guess what runs the show? That program. And there's no amount of complimenting, there's no amount of evidence, logic, proof in their real life. It doesn't matter. You can't convince a person like that. Only until that person learns how to reprogram their subconscious so that they can finally understand how exceptional, exquisite, smart they are for real, so that it becomes an embodied experience. There's no amount of effort and willpower in trying to convince that person, because that initial program was, you will never amount to anything. And this is why it would be so important for people to learn how to program their own subconscious. So, and again, in this video, I'm going to show you some of the ways that you can start doing this on your own, so that life starts to work for you instead of against you. And especially also if you experience at times, again, you know exactly what you want, but all of a sudden fear comes in, or self-doubt, or you feel insecure, or you feel like, oh, what are people going to think of that? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, right there, that is a program, a subconscious program that is trying to steal the show, trying to talk you out of this thing that you want, trying to convince you that, oh, people are going to criticize you or something like that. And then, of course, if that is what I feel and think, well, guess what? I'm probably not going to put myself out there, because I already assume the world is going to beat me up. You see how that works. So again, let's go back to the basics, the conscious and the subconscious. Very simply, the responsibility of each, okay? The conscious mind is the part of you that is responsible for logic and a little bit of willpower. And any adult, by the way, they use logic and willpower all the time, which is great. That's a good start. Yes, again, logic is this is what I want, this is why I want it, and now let me get into motion. Great, that's the work of the subconscious. Of the conscious. Got it? Cool. Which, by the way, is only 5% of your mind power. 5%. The conscious mind is only responsible for 5%. Now, the subconscious is responsible for your habits, your fears, in fact, all of emotions, the programs that are running underneath the surface. Another example, I just want to give you another example of a program, which 95% of your subconscious is, that's the power of the subconscious, 95%. Riding a bicycle. If you have ever learned how to ride a bicycle, my guess is that you can do it in your sleep. My guess is you can do it, you jump on a bike and you just ride automatically. Forgetting actually how incredibly complex that activity is. And yet, somehow, you learned it, and by now, it's literally slam dunk. You are doing it so well, you don't have to think about it, you don't have to feel about it, your body does it automatically. That happens to be a wonderful program that is in your subconscious that you want to keep, right? Because it's working very well for you. You can depend on this, or you've learned how to speak, you've learned how to walk, you've learned how to talk, you've learned how to type. I mean, there's billions of programs that are running in our subconscious, which is amazing from a human being perspective, right? So again, let me go back. The subconscious is responsible for your habits, for your fears, all emotions really, programs, and the patterns. And so when a person experiences anxiety, depression, procrastination, self-sabotage, addiction, unwanted fears or habits, guess what? That too is a program. So as a hypnotherapist, I typically help people break through some of these patterns so that, because that's the thing that is causing the problems. It's not you, it's not your logic, it's not your intelligence, it's not your willpower that is causing the problems. It is this unconscious, subconscious program. A lot of people don't even know those programs are there. And then they wonder, why does my life feel like I'm taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back? This is why. Because the program, the subconscious program, will always override what it is that you want consciously. And this is why the big thing that I teach my clients is, let's make sure that your conscious and your subconscious are working in alignment with each other instead of against each other. That's the biggest obstacle I see in so many people's lives. They don't know that this is what's going on underneath the surface. Again, if I, as a business owner, want to put myself out there because I know I can serve humanity in a big, powerful way because what I have is incredible, right? And I know that this can be super useful. And of course, then my job and my duty, obviously, is to put myself out there so that people can say, hey, see, this is a natural process. This is incredible. This works relatively quickly. It doesn't actually require a lot of effort. Anybody can do it. We can do it virtually. But let's just assume I logically know this. I know this is what I should be doing. But what if unconsciously I'm afraid, oh, what if I'm not polished and perfect? What if I don't say the right thing at the right time? What if people throw eggs at me? What if people reject me? What if they, right? And if I have that voice running in the background, telling me that I'm not ready yet and I'm not polished and perfect yet, and what if the constant worrying, the overthinking, analysis spiral, if that kicks in, I'm done. I'm chopped liver, because once again, guess who swooped in? The program. And that is what causes a lot, I see this with so many business owners, especially solopreneurs. This is exactly what sneaks in, steals the show, and this is what causes people what they then describe as self-sabotage and procrastination. Yeah, I get the label, but guess what? No, this is a program that is running the show, running against you. once again, this is why we want to get the conscious and the subconscious to start playing nice together instead of, right, each is doing his own thing. So this is really important because we need to understand the foundation of how the mind works. So again, conscious mind is like the tip of the iceberg, that little thing that you see at the top. The subconscious mind is like mouse, elephant. Okay, that literally is the ratio, mouse, elephant. And if the mouse and the elephant were to battle with each other, like who's going to win? Who? Yeah, exactly, right? The one with the bigger muscle power, which happens to be the subconscious. So therefore, the number one task that I get to do with my clients is help my clients reprogram the subconscious. But in fairness to everybody, it's not even kind of, it doesn't make sense to say it like that. It's rather understanding what is the program in your subconscious that is running the show. Let's get clear what that might be. It might be fear, it might be self-doubt, might be some sort of an insecurity. It might be some other sort of limiting belief that might be running. First, we want to get clarity. What is it? You might already know what it is, right? And you may not, and that's okay, because we'll discover through this work, right? Then we want to help you get rid of that old program that maybe it has served you up until now. Maybe it even allowed you to survive while you were a child, but that's not the same program that is going to help you thrive. Make sense? So therefore, we want to put in a new program and say, hey, everybody, come on, play nice with each other, because this is what the person who's now 45 actually really wants. So thank you, old program. You were amazing. I appreciate your service, but bye-bye. So then we welcome the new program. And that is something, again, through not just the correct type of programming, but then what we also need is repetition. So in this video, we've finally come to the point where, thank you for the question again, how do you work with your subconscious? Here are the steps so that you can start to put them into practice, and then you can reap the beautiful, magical rewards. Got it? So again, we want to consider working with the subconscious almost like, how do I program my mind? That might be a really good way to put it, okay? So obviously, I would imagine that you are somebody who knows what they want, what their goal is. Yes? Most people, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of people know what their goal is, whether it's a relationship, whether it's their health, whether it's their business, their career, finances, whatever it might be. So that's your goal, yes? And by the way, this is why most New Year's resolutions fail, because when people set goals, they usually only use their conscious mind, logic, and willpower. This is what I want. This is why I want it. And now it should just, remember, that's just fine. That's a good start. It's important. But until we get the subconscious involved, it's gonna, this is why week 3, a lot of people sort of fall off, right? And I call this is the problem that is responsible for people falling off. Instead, yes, you start with logic and a little tiny bit of willpower. And now here comes the subconscious. Now I want you to begin, because the subconscious is the part of you that doesn't really understand words per se, but rather translates our language, okay? Everything you think, everything you say, even to yourself, it turns it into images and sounds and feelings and emotions and sensations and imagination and intuition and even a gut feeling. So therefore, as you have this goal, okay, let's just say maybe you want to lose 30 pounds like I did once, way back when. Instead of saying, I want to lose 30 pounds, by the way, that becomes a very bad suggestion, believe it or not, to the subconscious, because loss, I want to lose, that already just doesn't feel good. I want to lose 30 pounds. It's just a concept. What's the image? So instead, here we go. And by the way, one of the easiest ways to do this work, to program your mind, which really is a new way of self-talk, okay? In its basic essence, this is self-talk, but on steroids, the way it will serve you, not like the negative criticism kind of self-talk. You know what I mean, right? Good. We're not doing that anymore because that is just going to cause many, many more problems instead. Okay, so let's just say the logic is I want to lose 30 pounds. Got it. But now let's translate that into the subconscious. And here's how you do that. First thing in the morning, if you can, or last thing before you go to sleep. Why? Because that's when the subconscious is most receptive. That's when you can really turn your attention over into the subconscious. Close your eyes and now imagine you being 30 pounds lighter, you reaching that goal. And by the way, you can do this with any goal. I'm just using weight loss as an example, right? What will you look like? What does that look like to you? In other words, now you're seeing yourself. Remember, you're seeing yourself as this optimal version of you. What do you look like? What clothes might you be wearing? How do you look naked? What is that like for you to see yourself as this optimal version of you? So imagine you want to create a picture in your mind. And that in itself already is a good start, because that's how the subconscious can be like, oh, it understands that command. Next, sounds. What are the sounds that might be important about this picture? Now, for example, there might be some incredible self-talk where you're like, wow, I'm so proud of myself. Oh my God, I look so good. Wow, I feel so good. Wow, look at this. My clothes fit well now. Oh my God, I'm getting compliments. So what are the sounds you might be hearing? Maybe not just from inside, but also what are people saying to you now? Oh my God, you look so amazing. What have you been doing? Right? What are the sounds that are appropriate to this picture, to this goal? Next, what are you feeling now that you know that you lost these 30 pounds? What does it feel like to be in shape? What does it feel like to be fit? What does it feel like to be vital? What does it feel like to be able? I'll never forget, when I lost my 30 pounds, I was so mad at the world because I was like, why didn't anybody tell me how good it feels to actually be at an optimal weight? And I just felt so good. I couldn't even describe it. I felt light and healthy and strong, and I would wake up in a good mood. It's just like so many things changed because of that, decision, right, to put my health first and to get myself. So what are you feeling? Notice how what we're doing here is we're including the senses, because the subconscious is the world of senses. And that's why I always share with my clients, make this a sensational experience. You want to literally blow your mind with all these incredible pictures and images and movies. And it doesn't just have to be a picture. If you prefer a movie, if you want to see yourself on a big screen and you're like this Hollywood actor, the more fantasy, by the way, the more imagination, the more color, the richer you can make this, the better this is going to work, because now you're saturating your subconscious with these beautiful colors, the images, right? The brightness, the sounds, literally, this has to become a very, very sort of compelling production. Make sense? So it's about visualizing, but it's so much more than just a visualization. Notice how I added all these things. And when you are at your optimal weight, what are the things you will be doing? What are the things you'll be touching? What are the things you'll be experiencing, right? So it becomes, you now get to see your life as that person, right? And how will you show up at work? And how will you show up in your relationship? You can literally zoom completely out and see this whole new life. And the more you can do that, the more your subconscious is like, oh, I so get it. And now it will start to get to work for you, because you have impressed the subconscious with all these pictures, sounds, feelings, emotions, and everything else. And sometimes even smell and what is it going to taste like may be appropriate, right? And the truth is, with something like that, smell and taste could be a very, very useful suggestion, because what does it smell like when you now prepare really healthy food and you go to the supermarket and you select the right fruits and vegetables? And right, there's a whole culinary sort of experience that's part of it that, again, stimulates your senses. So this is a really, really important step. And notice, literally what I'm doing is I am impressing my mind with all the things that I want to eventually experience in my future. And the seeds that we just planted were literally, how do I say that? With this exercise, what we're doing is we're planting the seed. And now here's another very, very, very important component. It's called repetition, habituation, meaning now you don't just do this one time, okay? You do this, if you can, every day. I would prefer, intensity, consistency trumps intensity. I would rather you do this daily, I don't care, even if it's just for 2 or 3 minutes, then you're like, oh, I'll do it on Sunday for an hour. No, every day, a couple of minutes, because the repetition and the habituation is another secret ingredient for this to stick. Because guess what? Eventually, you are gonna become it. Because you have literally, this is like brainwashing. This is like, not just like, this is self-hypnosis. Because you have repeatedly given yourself the images, the sounds, the pictures. This is what I want. This is what I want. This, and you're seeing it over and over and over. So again, visualization, but done the right way with repetition, is the magic formula. And guess what? All of a sudden, you know what you're going to find? Organically, automatically, and normally, your motivation is going to go through the roof. There's no more need to rely on willpower or self-discipline. No, you're going to be automatically much more motivated. You're going to feel excited to go toward that goal. And your body is literally almost going to be pulled and drawn toward those activities that are going to help you do the thing that you said you wanted to do. So this is how you literally teach yourself how to talk so that you are able to reach those goals, but also so that it matters. Is this making sense? Really, really important. So I hope that I was able to explain this so you can begin to put this into a practical application. Oh yes, another important factor. If along the way you may find, and by the way, every human being does at times, if along the way you might still have this inner critic showing up, like, who do you think you are? You can't do that. It's going to be too hard for you. You're too old, yada, 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 whatever those limitations are. If and when you come across something like that, understand that is an old program trying to make itself known, trying to be like, hey, remember me? And those are typically the things that I get to help my clients break through, because even though they may identify that's there, they haven't yet been able. And again, for business owners, one of the biggest blockages that, just FYI, that they experience are imposter syndrome, self-sabotage, procrastination, self-doubt, self-worth issues, believe it or not, self-confidence issues. What else? I mentioned, imposter syndrome, self-sabotage, procrastination, perfectionism, people-pleasing, and self-worth issues. And when that happens, I remind them this has to go, because this is the thing that will always take over. And even though you have the best strategy, you have the best map, you have the best plan, you have the best intentions, until we get rid of that program is going to take over. It's like weeds in a garden. You can have the most beautiful flowers, vegetables, plants, seeds, whatever, but if there are some weeds in the garden and you are not pulling those weeds out by the root, not just cutting the grass, no, that's very surface level. Looks good from the distance, but when you get close, especially if you let it go, it's going to take over. So this is the bulk of my work as a hypnotherapist, is help my clients get rid of the weeds from the root. And by the way, a lot of people often don't know what those weeds are, but that happens to be my specialty, because again, that's the most important work. And once you get rid of those weeds, much smoother sailing ahead. So I hope this video helped you. Please let me know what questions you have. But just as a little recap, We have a conscious mind, a subconscious mind. Conscious mind is logic and willpower. Subconscious mind is responsible for your habits, your emotions, your fears, the patterns, the programs that are running automatically, right? And conscious mind 5%, subconscious mind 95%. And that's why wouldn't it make sense to go right to the source and train the subconscious and work with the subconscious and program the subconscious so that it starts to work for you. And as we said, this is the biggest reason why those New Year's goals, New Year's resolutions fail, because a lot of people don't know this is the strategy, the formula, and then blame themselves and shame themselves and berate themselves. Oh, I should be stronger. No, you just need to understand how your mind works. And once you do, it's going to be a much, much easier journey. So again, and the how is starting with visualization, but not just visual. It's, remember, much, much more. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? What is that going to be like? What are you experiencing? What's the evidence for you to know that you have achieved this? Right? Which becomes a very rich picture, movie, whatever it might be. And then repetition. And the repetition, again, is that magical secret ingredient that as you do it and you do it more often, now it becomes like a well-oiled machine. And this is when people talk about being in the flow, that's what they mean, because then your body just does it automatically. So thank you again for this amazing question. It was really, really helpful. I think we helped a lot of people today, and I appreciate you stopping by, asking that question, and I'll see you soon. Oh, of course, if you want more, you know where to find me.